Well, good morning and welcome to Zen Live. And we have a new metaphor for your toolbox today here on this little intermediate zone between holidays. Is it the 4th today or is it not? It's a little ambiguous. Yesterday was off. Tomorrow is off. What is today? Is today off or on? I don't know. Anyway, I'm pumped up and ready to go because we're going to talk about ambiguity, my favorite topic. And this got triggered by a friend who posted a cartoon using my favorite Gestalt picture of the old woman and the young woman putting hand shadows on the screen of a rabbit or a rabbit or a duck. And the rabbit and the duck was ambiguous. Is it a rabbit or a duck? Look left, it's a rabbit. Look right, it's a duck. So ambiguity was projecting ambiguity on the wall. A little kid standing there. So look it up, on my post here, because we're talking about this. What is the mother? The mother is ambiguous. Now the mother is Mother Nature. The reality, the cosmos, the whole catastrophe, existence, form, experience, everything is reality, the all, the totality. Nothing is outside of reality. You see, and it's ambiguous. So the mother, the goddess, Gaia, the mother is ambiguous. Why does she have two breasts? Which one are you going to choose, left or right? They both look the same. So the mother comes in twos, pairs. Everything is a pair of Noah's Ark. Noah's Ark is a metaphor for the whole that contains all of life, and life comes in pairs. Life is ambiguous. So let's look into that. Now, the Tolle quote for today is what tripped me off here. Very quick, short, to the point. The only thing that ultimately matters is this. Can I sense my essential beingness, the I am, in the background of my life at all times? Now, beingness and I am is one. That's what that means. The one that is all. No division, no ambiguity, no twos, just one. Yet, the only thing that I experience is in twos. You get it? All experience comes in twos. Can I sense the oneness, the background of beingness, that I am one, not two, yet I experience myself as two. This is the ambiguity, or the happy fault is a part of a hymn in Christianity, the happy fault, the wound that won't heal. In the Arthurian romances, the wound in the side of the Fisher King that the Grail Knight must heal with the Holy Grail. Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade, the wound in the side of his father, the bullet, he had the Holy Grail would heal it. The Holy Grail, or oneness, heals the wound of ambiguity. But where is the Holy Grail? Here's ambiguity. This is a Gestalt picture. It comes in many variations. And I hope you can see the young woman or the old woman. Just to point out, old woman, you're looking at the left side of her face. Here's her left eye. Here's her big old nose. Here's her chin and her mouth. Young woman, you're looking at she's looking away. Here's her left eyelid. Here's her chin. Here's her ear. Here's her necklace. Which is it? Is the picture a young woman or an old woman? You also notice that if you focus and hold your attention on the old woman, the young woman comes forward. If you focus on the young woman, the old woman comes forward. The ambiguity oscillates. It can't stay as one because there are two separate whole pictures, but they are mutually dependent. If you change one, you change the other. If I take away this, it changes the young woman. Or if I change one, I change the other. So they are the one, yet they are separate. That's the ambiguity of reality. In that, and this is an old phrase we all hear, everything turns into its own opposite. Well, why is here? Everything turns into its own opposite. The old woman will turn into the young woman, and the young woman will turn into the old woman. And perception cannot hold it still. Perception can't say, freeze it. Perception can't fix it. Because it is two, mutually dependent, and it is one. It is one that is two. Yet this cannot be. This cannot be. Because reality has to be one. You get that? I mean, if it were two, it would be a split screen. It'd be like if consciousness was wall-eyed. And one eye saw this room and the other eye saw the other room. Now, which is the real room? And I would say, would you get me the glass of water? And you would say, which room? You say, I don't know. Would you get me a book? Oh, which room? I can't choose. Wow, you see. And we get caught in these situations. I know I do. I keep talking about, my little double binds, when I get an ambiguous list from my wife and I can't figure out what to choose, so I got to call the Savior. What is it? Where is it? So these are little things and they're big. Trump is ambiguous. Is he real or fake? He creates ambiguity. News is fake, news is real. He says one thing, and in the same day or sentence he says the opposite. Which is it? The mother is ambiguous. Avatar. Avatar. The mother is ambiguous. So there was an ambiguity in Avatar when Jake Sully reached a point where he didn't know if the Sky People reality was real or the Pandora reality was real. He was in a no man's land. I don't know which one is real. So he made a mad leap of transcendence. And he saw both at the same time. It's the old woman and the young woman both at the same time. That is a creative leap to oneness and the restoration of balance, And so when the Navi were losing against the Sky People, the mother came in, nature, not picking sides, but restoring balance. So transcendence or creativity comes in and restores balance to ambiguous experience. This is very difficult to logically understand. So you really have to suspend logic in order to make the leap here, you see. So we were looking at here, is reality a green screen? You see, the problem is that we have to see one reality. There can't be two. That drives us insane. It's not logical. It's not rational. This cup is one cup. It's not a cup and a cotton ball at the same simultaneously. That happens in a dream. Alice in Wonderland is all about that. The croquet mallet is a flamingo and a mallet at the same time. You see? So that's the world of dream and art. But not reality, not empirical, rational reality. It's all, this world is stable, you see. We have to have stability because our consciousness must be stable. If there is a slightest hint of ambiguity, we freak out. Be clear. What do you mean? This or that? I mean, be clear. Give me clear instructions. You see. If I'm lost, I don't want somebody to tell me the way is that way. You see? No, which way is it? That way or that way? It's not that way. We can't tolerate ambiguity. We have to get out of it as soon as we find it. As soon as we step into a pile of ambiguity, we have to clean it up. We have to wipe our shoes of it. Smells bad. You see what, get the idea here? That this that ambiguity is something to quickly solve it. Yet we love it. Why? Because without ambiguity, there's no surprise. Now imagine a life without surprise. Why, it'd be like solitary confinement. Why, it would be like perfection. This is the great irony. We all want life to be perfect, but if it were perfect, we would have to kill it. We would have to make it imperfect so we could be surprised. You come into a room, oh, it's just perfect. Oh, but there's a pile of poop on the floor. Whoa, surprise. And then you pick it up, you clean it up, and it was plastic. Somebody put a joke down there. Surprise! And we laugh. Oh, you kiddo, you're so funny. My uncle was like that. I was going to bring one of his jokes in here, but I forgot to bring it in. He would always be leaving things around like a little spilled nail polish. The bottle spilled over on your good coffee table. Oh my God! It's just plastic. Surprise! We love it. But you see, everything turns into its own opposite because you can't hold anything one. The fundamental essence, the fundamental operating system of consciousness is ambiguity. Human consciousness is ambiguous. And that is the happy fault, the blessing and the curse. It creates time in order to get out of ambiguity. It creates creativity, all the art, all the beautiful accomplishments of humanity. The civilization we live in is created to solve the problem of ambiguity. Ambiguity is the mother. And so it's ambiguity that will either go, in our attempt to get out of it, is going to go into violence, destruction, or creativity, a leap. That's evolution. Evolution is the child of ambiguity. When something is ambiguous, we have to make it the one. Well, the one is a greater whole that includes the ambiguity or the dissonance, you see? Ambiguity is dissonance. Wah, 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 wah. Can't be one. I am one, but I can't be. I am one, but I can't be. Wah, wah, wah. Either we destroy the other side. Now I'm one. This is the Trump method. Or you make a creative leap and create a new policy, a new idea, a new being, a new species, a new cow that includes the dissonance of the previous two, of the ambiguity. So I was just watching Globe Trekker, and it was the history of beef. And and boy, it made me glad I stopped being a vegetarian. But anyway, it was a history of the original cow was an aurochs, was a very big, dangerous, long-horned bull of a thing that that would kill you in an instant. And gradually the cow moved through from the Middle East into different cultures, and in England particularly, they began the science of evolving beef cattle. So the science of evolving this ox into big, chunky hunks of delicious steak happened in England. And so that was creative. You could take the old woman and the young woman, these two different traits, and create a new cow that had both the traits, you see. So evolution means that the leap to the new whole includes the dissonance or the opposites that preceded it. So it's kind of like but the order of this or that cannot conceive of the new order that holds the two together. It has to be a creative leap. It has to be a surprise. Creativity is a surprise. When you have a problem, you have ambiguity. Is it this or that? I don't know. And there's a period of extreme frustration. And then there's a period of relaxing. I can't find it. I can't find the keys. I relax. Oh, here they are. So there is a process of creativity in which you have tension of ambiguity. Wah, 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 wah. Can't stand it. I can't stand it. I got to have one. I got to have the keys. I got to get life going again. When there's a wah, 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 life stops. Evolution stops. Change stops. Wah, wah, wah. You see. Feedback loop. Turn it off. Stop it. You see. And then there's a relaxation moment where you realize that you can't solve the problem, that your strategies don't work, that you realize that no matter what I do, I just create more ambiguity. And so you give up, yet you don't walk away. You don't say, I'm done with it, and go catch a bus or get a martini. You see. You stay with it, but you relax. And you don't know what the next best thing is. You don't know what the new idea is. You don't know what the solution is. But you have faith that one is there. But you don't know what it is. So faith allows you to relax the tension of ambiguity. When you have exhausted all your plans and you come to no exit, you pause. You stay with the ambiguity, with the pain of ambiguity. You stay with the pain and you accept it. And in that relaxation of effort to choose one or the other, a new idea is created that is called seeing. In Zen, it's called satori. Aha, eureka. Now that idea is born out of the mother of ambiguity. But it's not caused by the ambiguity because it's a new idea that never existed before, or a new product, or a new business, or a new relationship, or a new world. It's a creation that never existed before, so you can't have any idea of what it is because it doesn't exist until you create it out of the emptiness of ambiguity. See, ambiguity is, in Zen, ambiguity is empty. It's not one. It's not one in that it is two, so it has no oneness. When something is one, it's one. It's not empty, it's one. It's form. But the ambiguous is neither one or the other. So it's empty. So then emptiness is form. When a new form is created out of the emptiness. But then as soon as that form becomes part of our world experience, it too becomes ambiguous and a new idea has to come up. So that's evolution. Dynamic unity, hopscotching through from holes to holes to holes, from greater holes, greater holes, greater holes. Ken Wilber mapped this out. So the reality is like a Russian nesting dolls of holons. A holon is something that is whole and is also parts. So this is a holon. It's got two parts. Old woman, young woman. But it's also a whole picture. But the whole picture is transcendent of the two pictures. You see that? One picture is the old woman. It's complete. That's the one. Yet it's also the young woman. That's a whole. So you got two wholes here, each of which is contradictory of the other one, yet they're mutually the same. That can't be. We have to create our way out of that. You can't stay there in two realities going wah, wah, wah. Which room? I see two realities. Which one is real? Of course, this is what's being created now in the media with Trump. He's an expert at ambiguity in the sense that he's dividing media into fake and real media. Which is the real media? I don't know. Which, is the old woman the real media or is the young woman? They're both the same media. Though there can't be two, yet this creates a tension. It's driving people crazy. But anyway, I don't want to get into Trump again, please. hold me back. So, this idea here is that, is reality a green screen? Now, my little stick figures here are being educated by the ego. As you can see, they're watching a green screen. Now, a green screen is a great metaphor because, I'm watching my clock. Is this thing working? I guess it is. Okay. A green screen is a great metaphor because you see it all the time, particularly with the weatherman. But even in movies today, most of the movies today are done on a green screen. So what does that mean is that the foreground in front of this green screen is one whole thing. You know, it's a whole, you know, it's one. And then the background can be created. You can put a mountain behind the back guy, you can put a city, a beach, anything. We do this on, it's just normal, we just do it now. Everything is green screened. Flipping the background and the foreground around. You see, the foreground stays the same. You just start changing the background and it changes the meaning of the foreground. So the relationship between the foreground and the background creates meaning. We don't notice that, and that's why we scream if you say something and somebody takes it out of context. That means that you took just one sentence and took it out of the background and changed the meaning of it. So you can take that one sentence and put it in an ad and make it mean the exact opposite of what the person said. You create ambiguity. Wait a minute, what does that mean? Does it mean this or that? Well, I don't know. You tell me. You see what happens when we get caught in ambiguity? We have to have a savior. We have to have some authority to come in and tell us what the one is. So the political ad creates ambiguity by taking something out of context. Both sides do it, so don't say, I'm not saying Trump's doing it, I'm just saying both. This is a political ad, is that they take something the candidate said, change the green screen background, and create an opposite meaning. So they make the foreground, the words of the person, into its own opposite by changing the background. Then that creates an ambiguity in the mind of the viewer. Well, which one is it now? Wah, wah, wah. Is it this an old woman or a young woman? I can't tell. Wah, wah, wah. So if you can't tell what the one is, what the truth is, you've got to have somebody in authority that you trust that will tell you what the truth is. That's called a savior. You know, a savior could be anything. Could be my wife who comes in and tells me how to open a box and get to the one, you see. Or I can tell you who you are or how to vote. So if you want to manipulate somebody, just create ambiguity and they'll come to you for help. The therapist or the priest will tell you this is the thing, you see. Because I got to know what the one is. I can't stand this two-ness. The let there be one is the commandment of the cosmos, is the commandment of life. Let there be one. You see. So we always play with these metaphors. Oh, look at that. There's Siamese twins. Which the old woman and a young woman. There's two in one. Well, we got to separate them. Now you got two and that's it. Now each one is the one. You see. So be on the lookout for ambiguity, and how, when you can create ambiguity, you also create control. Women, bless their hearts, are masters, and that's why I said the Mother Nature is the goddess is the mother of ambiguity. The mother comes in twos. Which one do you want? I don't know. They both look the same. You tell me. So the wife says, "Oh, do you want peas or carrots?" Well, you choose. So, creating ambiguity creates control. You choose. So my father, who was a chooser all of his life, the captain. So when he came home, he was the captain. Everybody sat around the captain. Captain chose what was right. Captain chose where to go. Everybody in the family did what the captain said. Then he had a stroke and he couldn't choose. And my mother became the captain. Go to the restaurant, have a menu. What would you like, dear? You choose. But the idea that is when you're stuck in ambiguity, if you can't choose, you're going to find somebody who can. And there are plenty of people running around who want to choose for you. This is the right drug for you. You see. So the whole economy is built on corporations choosing what you do or buy by creating ambiguity. So the drug company knows best. You see. Anyway, but the idea here is, I'm trying to stay focused here. The idea here is that, is reality a green screen? Well, yes and no. This little skint here is that here you have a mountain, right? Now if you look at a mountain, it goes up, there's a little peak, but then it goes down to a valley. Now is the mountain up or down? And you will pick one side. You'll say, well, it's up. Look, it goes up to the top there. Oh, no, it's a valley. Look, it goes down there. So what is the mountain? Well, the mountain is up, down. It's not up or down. It's not an old woman or a young woman. It's old woman / young woman. So up / down is the whole that contains up or down. So the green screen, you can't really function that way. If I say, would you go get, how do I get to the snow? Well, you go up, down. What do you mean? Do I go up or do I go down? This is the Bud Abbott, Lou Costello routine. Well, you go up, down. Now, wait a minute. Do I go up or do I go down? Who's on first base? Who is on first base? No, wait a minute. Who is on first base? Who is on first base? Tell me who is on first base. Who is on first base? You get it? So you can't function in the world with a world that is both up and down simultaneously at the same time. So we make a choice. It's up. You're going to go up. Or you say you're going to go down. But it's going to be one or the other in the external field of function. So we need clear and distinct ideas on whether to go up or down. But life, the essential nature of life is that it's up, down. It's a metaphor. Life is art. Life is play. Play is both up-down. Play is ambiguous. Is this gun real or is it not real? It's both real, not real. The kid is playing in ambiguity. My father used to carve wooden guns. He made a little Davy Crockett rifle, pistol and all that. So he would carve these little, and for me as a little kid, these were real guns, but they were fake. So there's a suspension of disbelief for the kid to play like this is a real gun. Bam, 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 you see. It's real in the play, but he knows in the background of his being, we're back to Trump. We're back to Tolle. Can I sense my essential beingness, the I am, in the background of my life all the time? So what is the essential beingness or I am? The I am one. That is the shout out of the Buddha when he says, throughout heaven and earth, I am alone, the honored one. Now, I wrote this the other day and it freaked out a couple of people. Well, I certainly don't. I think that's rather arrogant, don't you? For the Buddha to say that, I am the one. Now, who does he think he is? Jesus Christ? But what that Buddha didn't say, there's no thing called the Buddha. And the Buddha didn't say that. There was nobody writing that down when he came out. This is a affirmational statement for the teaching of the Dharma or oneness. So, when you sense your essential beingness or oneness, you are affirming the oneness in ambiguity. Here, if you see only the young woman and you say, oh, this picture is all young, or if you look in the mirror and you say, oh, I feel young, I really am looking young, oh, wait a minute, there's a wrinkle, oh, no, I'm getting old, bam, I feel old, bam, oh, well, I'm jumping around, I feel young, oh, I feel old, oh, I feel young, I feel old, bam, 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 bam. Which are you, young or old? If I pick one, the old comes in. If I pick the old, the young comes back. Wow, 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 wow. You are young, old. That is the one. The one transcends the old and the young. The one is transcendent. So the I am is transcendent of the ambiguity of the two-ness. But the transcendence is not something. As soon as it becomes something, it falls into the realm of ambiguity. This is a card, it's something. But in order for it to be something, it cannot be this cup. See, so in order for me to see this as the one, there has to be, it's not this. This card is not me, it's not this, it's not the wall, it's not the ceiling, it's not any, it's in order for be this, it has to be not that. But that's ambiguous. So there's a play going on here in our consciousness. A play that if we don't understand it, it will create suffering. That's what the Buddha said. Life is suffering. Ambiguity. Life is ambiguous. Life is suffering because ambiguity that has lost the transcendent one is suffering. So suffering is when you cannot sense your beingness or oneness or your I amness, you see. And this is in the background of life. So what does that mean? The background of life is transcendent. If you see the background, then it's part of the ambiguity. You see me, okay? Now you see me standing here, and the background is this screen, is this wall, is this room. Now suddenly if this changed and I was standing at the Grand Canyon, You see? What if this were a... But you see, the mind does that, you see. Well, let's see, if maybe I'm moving into a whole nother level here, a step. I find myself moving there. So I'm going to see if we can conclude here. I hope it doesn't conclude, because I hope we really were kicking this can down the road. And if you come in and follow me with these Zen lives in the morning, I know I am discovering a unfolding trail here. It's called the Dharma Trail. We're picking up the M&Ms, we're picking up the clues, and I'm using Tolle quotes as clues. And we're discovering this, we're unfolding it as you and I go, as you and I walk together. This is not, every day that I come here is a surprise to me. So you and I are creating the conditions for a surprise, for an insight. I see. You see? And this is the fourth noble truth of Buddhism. Just quickly, let me remind you. First noble truth, there is suffering. There is ambiguity. Number two, there is a cause to it. The cause is because we look for the cause in the wrong place. And if you see the cause as the true cause, there is a third noble truth, the cessation of suffering, the cessation of ambiguity. And you become the one that has no second. Reality becomes one that has no second. But before you see that reality is one without a second, reality is two, and it keeps flipping back and forth between old woman and young woman. Fake and real news. Wow, 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 you see. And so we cling to authorities to stabilize the wow, wow, wow. Religion stabilizes it. Politics is now stabilizing it. Believe in Trump and you'll stabilize yourself in the fake and real news. Don't believe in Trump. Whatever. But the point is, when we are in ambiguity and it becomes felt, we need to, at all costs, stabilize consciousness, because ambiguity threats psychosis. When you fall into ambiguity and you can't stabilize it, we feel like we're being sent off in space without any reference point. We feel like we're in a desert and you can't see anything. You feel like you're in a snowstorm in a whiteout where you can't see a tree. Or in a fog. No, London is so full of fog. You know, the mysteries are full of fog because it's ambiguous. You see. So, out of ambiguity, monsters can come. Out of ambiguity, the devil comes. Out of ambiguity, Obama comes. Or Trump, depending on what you see. So this whole idea, we have to be stabilized. And if we can't stabilize it ourselves through awakening, through transcendence, through rising above the ambiguity and seeing the whole that is two, seeing the rabbit and the duck, seeing the old woman and the young woman as one picture, simultaneously, is a creative seeing, a creative act. This is just kind of like a puzzle. So don't mistake this metaphor for the real transcendent leap. The real transcendent leap out of ambiguity is awakening. I am okay. I know where I am. The world is one again. You see? When we're lost in ambiguity, there's a moment of deconstruction. I don't know where I am. I don't know who I am. I'm up or down. Pilots who don't trust the instruments don't know if they're upside, if you're in a cloud bank, you don't know if you're upside or downside. If you're swimming, you don't know if you're up or down. We lose the ability to stay. It's like a compass that the needle's going, wow, wow, wow. You need to stabilize. That's what balance is. Balance is, I'm stable. So we want to find stability, you see, when we encounter ambiguity. But life is ambiguous. So we're always creating a stable fixed point. You see, here's life. It's ambiguous. How do I stop it? When we come home drunk at night, or you smoke a little dope, and the room starts to go, oh, you put your foot on the floor. You hold on to something. Right? Go to sea in a ship and everything is moving. We go, whoa. There's nothing to stabilize you. The spaceship is out of control. I don't know, way up or down. Which way are we going? You see. Stabilize us. You see, stability. We have to stabilize ambiguity. So what do? We create an ego. And this is the modern stabilization of a consciousness that has cut itself free from all the ancient mythologies which stabilized human consciousness. Joseph Campbell said, modern man's in free fall. He has to invent his own mythologies now. So, we invent an ego that stabilizes the wow, 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 wow of the ambiguity of consciousness. But when the ego is threatened by situations that are ambiguous, it has a panic attack. And then the ego seeks a big stabilizer, a group that is certain about what reality is. So I join this group in order to stabilize myself in ambiguity. It could be a white nationalist group. It could be an ecological group. Whatever the group is, it's going to stabilize me if I join it, you see, and identify myself with the group, because the group is big, it's a herd. So I'm going to join some herd, some political or religious herd that's going to stabilize me from the threat of the wolves. So I join that, you see, and I get in there. Okay? Now I feel stable. But the problem is, there are other stabilizing groups out there, each of which is competing to be the one. Each one is competing to restore, because this is ambiguous now. You see, we've created a new ambiguity. My group against your group. Which one is the real group? Which one is the old woman? Which one is the young woman? I don't know. It's ambiguous. So, how am I going to stabilize with the one? How am I going to be the one? Well, I got to get rid of that group. I got to wipe them off the face of the earth. Then I'll be the one. You know, it's like worldwide wrestling. One wrestler competes against the other one, and the winner wins because he has pinned the other one, wiped him out. That's not transcendence. That's not creativity. That's not evolution. That's destruction. That's violence, you see. So we're in a place now in our historical human consciousness, which evolves, consciousness evolves. We're in a place where we either create a new one, or we just try to destroy the competing ones. You got the conservatives and the liberals. Which one is the one? Well, the liberals will be one if they eliminate the conservatives. Conservatives will be one and restore America if they eliminate the enemy, you see. So this basically is the modus operandi of Trump right now. And don't say, well, Hillary did it. Two, that's creating more ambiguity. So Trump's modus operandi is creating an enemy, and then say, I'll eliminate it. And I'll restore the one. And now you'll be at ease and secure from the threat of ambiguity. And I'll be your savior. I'll be your voice, you see. And you'll elect me again. Because only I am the most honored one. I alone, throughout heaven and earth, am the honored one. says the one who becomes the one by eliminating competition. So the old woman, the young woman will be the only picture you see, and you will never see the old woman again. The picture will be stabilized. But it won't be, because the old woman will keep coming back in a new form, in a new battle, as a new enemy. Oh my God, I eliminated that enemy, now I got a new one. It just continues the game, you see. Refusing and avoiding creativity, refusing and avoiding transcendence, refusing and avoiding our beingness, the background of who we are, the essential nature of who we are is transcendence. Consciousness is transcendence. Consciousness is evolution. It has to transcend, or it just self-destructs. Okay, thank you so much for dropping in. This has been a lot of fun for me and insightful for me, and I hope you can get some insight into why we suffer. Thank you.